thanks to Kenai Peninsula Votes and the Homer Public Library for having us here. So my name is Willy Dunne, and while I do represent District 9 on the Kenai Peninsula Borough Assembly, here today I am speaking as a private citizen of the borough and expressing my own personal views. So I'm not representing the Assembly, nor am I representing the borough. So I did co-author the Statement of Opposition to Prop 2, and you can find that statement in the voter pamphlet that was mailed to registered voters in the borough last week. It's a very helpful and informative publication. I hope everybody gets a chance to read it thoroughly. I was also co-sponsor of the legislation which created the hybrid vote-by-mail system in the borough, which is currently scheduled to take effect on January 1st of the coming year. However, the sponsors of that ordinance and the Assembly members who voted to enact it are really only a tiny handful of a huge number of borough citizens who developed this idea and refined the proposal over a period of many months. As Jesse mentioned, we started this process with a group from around the borough, the election stakeholders group, in response to complaints and trying to prevent lawsuits regarding voters with disabilities not being able to vote easily and fully accessible to them. So if I tried to name all the people and their roles, people who were involved, it would take all the time we have today, so I won't do that. But be assured it was a very collaborative process. It was very thorough, very inclusive process. You know, of all the task force and committees and things I've been on in the borough the past 5 years, I think this was one of the most inclusive, collaborative, well-discussed groups that I've ever participated in. So there were representatives from all 5 cities in the borough and all geographic regions of the borough, and very importantly, all the recommendations that came about were unanimous. Even people who went in being skeptical or maybe opposed to vote by mail unanimously supported it after we thoroughly investigated and discussed it. So you know, some people are claiming that 6 members of the Assembly are imposing this on the voters of the borough. That couldn't be farther from the truth. It was a very thorough process, and now voters do have a chance to say yes or no on it. So what would Proposition do? Or actually, more importantly, what would it do away with? Well, the hybrid vote-by-mail system that was enacted by the Assembly would allow voters a number of options. Voters would be able to vote from the privacy of their own home by filling out a ballot that's automatically mailed to them. You would not need to request one like you do now. After completing the ballot and placing it in a security envelope and including a voter ID and your signature, then you have several options again. You can put it in the US mail. You could place it in any number of secure drop boxes that would be conveniently located all over the borough. Or you could bring it to ADA accessible vote center. As Jesse mentioned, there'd be at least 5 of those and possibly more in population centers around the borough. If you did prefer to vote in person, as many of us do, you still be able to do that. You can show up at the vote center. There would be fewer than the current polling places, that is true, but they would be dispersed around the borough. If you are a voter with a disability, or if you're someone who might need assistance, you can show up at the vote center also for up to 2 weeks before the election. You can even show up on election day if you want to carry on that tradition that many of us do cherish. The proponents of the proposition to repeal say that you can already vote by mail, meaning you can apply for an absentee ballot. And that's true, but it isn't always easy or convenient. I've been contacted by a number of people over the past couple of weeks who are struggling with trying to get absentee ballots. I've got a friend who's stuck overseas due to COVID, and the mail system is just not reliable enough to get a ballot to him in time. So in any event, fax machines aren't always easily accessible these days either. So a lot of steps to take. And I remember in the 2017 runoff election, because of the short time between the election and the runoff, a number of people had difficulty accessing absentee ballots also. So this ordinance and system would cure that. And just remember, voting is a fundamental right and responsibility. The hybrid vote by mail that will take effect if if Proposition 2 fails, this system will not only expand voting options, it increases the security of mail ballots, and it addresses serious deficiencies which currently hinder voters with disabilities. So the vote by mail would actually be much more secure and have more security measures than the current absentee ballot method. And as we said before, this effort came about to improve our voting system, especially with access to voters with disabilities. And the election stakeholder group extensively discussed the pros and cons of vote by mail, and the pros far outweighed the cons. And let's remember too, vote by mail has been proven to work. It's proven in other municipalities around Alaska. The municipality of Anchorage has been doing it for several years with a pretty significant increase in voter turnout. And other states, 5 other states around the United States, and also in 6 of our precincts around the borough. And it's been done for 20 years in those 6 precincts with 0 instances of voter fraud. In fact, the very few instances of voter fraud and vote by mail that you hear about are almost all with absentee ballots under the current absentee ballot system. So we wouldn't have absentee ballots anymore. Everybody would have the opportunity to vote by mail or in person. So I just say, as a summary, when voting no on Proposition 2, you will expand voting rights, you will increase voter turnout, and you will make it easier to vote and harder to cheat. So thank you very much.